What are some ways in which you can improve your communication while working remotely? Hi, I'm Marissa Santoro, and I help professionals own their value so they can consistently stand out and increase their impact and income in their careers. I hear this question a lot. A lot of times working remote, we don't know where the day necessarily ends, right? If we were in the office, it's clear, okay, time to go, get in my car, or get on the train, and that's your end of day. But when you're at home, those lines of starting and ending aren't necessarily as sharp. So I want to share some strategies here. These aren't the whole set, but these are things really based on questions that have come in. One of the commitments I would say that many professionals have begun making as a result of working from home is that they want to have a healthier lifestyle, or they want to make some time for things that they want, right? I guess you can equate it to taking your own lunch break, right, during the day. And so if there are certain things that you want to commit to while still being perceived as a professional who gets their job done, then I invite you to share some of those non-negotiables, some of those commitments that you would like to weave within your day. Now, I'll give you an example that just came in. This was on a call I was attending as an attendee on a Zoom call. And the person, one of the leaders who was leading that call, came in a little bit late, maybe like 15 minutes late. And the first thing she said was, she said hello, and then she immediately apologized. And she said, "I'm sorry I'm late, but I was attending my daughter's play at school, and this was not something I was going to miss." Right, and that just made me happy, because I remember when I had my children in school and all those plays and Halloween parades that I used to attend. But what I really liked about it was that when she said those words, it wasn't just stating where she was, but she was really owning the fact that this is my commitment and I'm not apologizing for it, right? If you've seen my TED Talk, I have a whole talk called Speaking Without Apology. So that really made me smile, because she really was just explaining where she was, but she wasn't apologizing for it. And that, could pertain to you. Maybe you have a doctor's appointment. Maybe you have a child's event that you need to attend. Or maybe you have no children and you just have to, take some time for yourself. Another thing that I've heard a lot, especially as a result of working home, is going for a walk in the middle of the day. So we're talking maybe a 30 or 35 minute, 40 minute walk that, again, would typically, if you were in a workplace, in an office, might equate to taking a physical lunch, right? Moving and going downstairs to grab a lunch and coming back. Instead, you're choosing to go for a walk. If this is something that you would like to commit to, then it's important for you to just tell your manager and team, hey, you know what? Usually around 12:30, I head out for a walk, right? So that's sort of my schedule. If there's any issue, if there's any concern, if there's any meetings that have to happen during that time, that's the place where we can communicate that. But it's good to sort of set some stakes in the ground if that's something that's meaningful for you, right? It's not anything of a stigma or a place where you'll be perceived as irresponsible or not doing your job because you're saying you're going for a walk, right? And just taking that time. Now, the other thing I want you to consider is asking your colleagues if, as a group, right, and you do have the option of going into the physical office every so often, then I invite you to reach out to your team and just ask, you know what, as a group, or maybe one or two people that you work with, can we pick a day to go into the office together and reserve a conference room, right? So there you're setting a calendar and really just getting that on the schedule. Now, another thing is if you are in focus time and you're, heads down working on something and you really can't take any calls or emails, then you can use the away feature that you have on your email platform. Away meaning showing, I know that Outlook has it, different instant messengers have it, Slack has it, where you're showing that you're not available, right? You're not necessarily telling any particular one person, but you're saying, hey, you know what? I'm heads down, I'm in focus mode, maybe just for an hour or two, you're focused on something and you just don't want any interruptions, right? So that might be something that would also set the tone so that others know, okay, he or she has the away feature on now, and some days that's the case, and maybe they do as well, right? Sort of just, getting into the flow of communicating when you're not available. And that's a feature that's, built into every single email and IM chat product out there. Now, if you are a manager or a supervisor and you have a team, well, just like you were in the office, you might want to set doctor's hours with your team, meaning making yourself available and accessible. So maybe, I don't know, every Tuesday between 1 and 3 o'clock, open door, come see me, I'll have my Zoom on, or ping me and I'll be available maybe 2 days a week. Make it 2 days a shorter time frame, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 to 1, right? But really making sure you get those on the calendar so that it's sort of an open window for people to come and speak with you. And why that's important now, especially if you're working remote, is because, you know what? In the old days, I say old days, but in the days when everybody worked in the office, you would sort of do drive-bys, right? And just knock on your manager's door or check in or send an email and say, hey, can I stop by for 15 minutes? How do we do that over Zoom, right? So, trying to establish some set hours with your team so that they know sort of the parameters of when you're fully available, right? And making it frequent enough so that they have some options and flexibility. Making yourself accessible is a key thing. Not even if you have, you don't necessarily even have to have a team, right? If you're not necessarily managing anybody or have direct reports, you're still leading, right? This is about demonstrating leadership. And so you want to make sure that as a whole, the team knows that you're around for them as well. Now, I know I shouldn't have to say this last point, but it still shows up in meetings. In fact, I'm hearing from the people that I coach that when they go on interviews, this is happening. So I want to make some time to talk about it. Please turn on your camera when you're in your meetings, right? Even if it's like a group of 5 or 7 or 10 and you don't think anyone really cares if your camera is on, they do. I'm hearing on interviews, if it's like 3 people interviewing, 1 or 2 people will have the camera off. It's really not professional. It's kind of equivalent to putting a bag over your head and not really wanting to be there, right? And it just shuts people down energetically. So, I don't care if the entire meeting, let's say you're on a call with 20 people and 19 of them have their cameras off, you leave your camera on, right? It's in this remote working world, it's just important, to get as much communication channels as we can. Eye contact, hand gestures, smiling. If you have a look of confusion, all of that comes through when you have the camera on, right? And then of course you still have the chat where you can communicate, but trying as much as possible to bring the personal that you used to have in the office to the digital form, if you will. All right, I hope this was helpful, and please reach out if you have any questions. Bye now.